Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's Patricia Hamilton, and this is Conscious Living Show. We're an online channel, and we feature amazing people who are making a difference to the awakening of consciousness in health, environment, and in spirituality. And this afternoon, I've got the pleasure of speaking with Stuart Morick. And Stuart's a naturopath. He's also a homeopath based here in Perth. And Stuart's been writing a regular column for Conscious Living magazine for several years. And he's also a regular practitioner who exhibits at the Conscious Living Expo. And it's been a long time since we've had the opportunity to have a chat. So I'm really keen to hear a bit more about you and your story, because I know that you weren't always destined to become a naturopath, but you were always obviously interested in health and wellness and fitness. Mm. But tell us, what was it that prompted you to start study and become a naturopath in the first place?
Hi, Patricia. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. This is great to get this information out, and so that people have this great information to improve their lives, improve their health. I guess a little bit about myself. I grew up in a farming community outside of Port Pirie in South Australia, and I was always interested in my own health, played a lot of sport. One of my driving passions was to always try to figure out how to get better sporting performance, better endurance, better strength, better energy. And that revolves around a lot on what I specialise in today. Like in my practice, I specialise in fatigue and helping people get their energy back. So farming was probably a passion, but I didn't actually have enough money to start my own farm and get into farming, and because I wanted to get into organic and biodynamic farming. I just saw that as the way to the future. And one of those things that really drove me into that was my father's health. He had asthma, and I actually read some research on biodynamic farming, that if people ate a biodynamic diet, which is essentially free of all toxins, if they ate a biodynamic diet, they no longer got asthma attacks. So that really sparked up my interest about the way toxins interfere with the body, and how much greater everybody's health can be if we're living a clean, I guess, sustainable, regenerative lifestyle. And I guess then I just grew from that and wanted to get into my own health a little bit more, and then looked at enrolling into naturopathy, studying natural medicine. And when I went along to the summer lecture series, which I thought, I'll dip my toe in and just have a look at this and see if it's something, what I really want to do. And so I did that. And when I got there, right in the first lecture, it was like I'd found my tribe.
Yeah.
So I guess you know that feeling. And it was like, that's it. I'm in. I'll do this. So that's how I got into natural medicine and naturopathy.
And so I know so many people are experiencing, symptoms that manifest as tiredness in various ways. I mean, it's really endemic, isn't it? Most people that you talk to say that they're stressed out and tired. Yeah. So obviously there must be a lot of reasons for this. And I know, obviously our Western style of living, at a frenetic pace, technology, electromagnetic radiation, you name it, chemicals, they're all factors. But I know that because you specialize in this area, you've looked more in depth, haven't you, at the mitochondria, what's going on in the cell function.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've also got a special process of analysing and diagnosing what the causes are. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, fatigue is a really big issue in society today. And I find that Doctors as such don't have a lot that they can really help people with. They've got a little bit, but in natural medicine, I like to say we've got a lot more in our toolkit to help people. For example, I'll go through a list of many things to do with fatigue, many different types of fatigue or underlying causes of fatigue. So the first one might be postprandial fatigue. Post meaning after, prandial meaning a meal. So after eating, having a meal. So sometimes people feel tired. They say, well, I have my lunch, and then at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, it's like I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. I'm yawning all the time. Well, that is pretty indicative or suspicious of a blood sugar problem. So doing something about your blood sugar control, the way your pancreas and your liver talk to each other, having that looked at and having that tweaked would be a really good idea. Making sure you don't eat things that actually cause your blood sugar to start swinging around. That would be another good start. Then there's another type of fatigue called post-infection. So you could have had a virus. The big one would be Epstein-Barr virus. That's one of the main ones. So that actually...
How common is that, Stuart?
It's more common than what people think, and you can diagnose that really with a blood test from a lab. So glandular fever is what it's also known as, and or kissing disease. That's another one. It's the same thing. It's still the Epstein-Barr virus that causes that. There are like Barama forest virus, other viruses. But not only viruses cause adrenal fatigue, so do some bacteria, like in Lyme disease, which apparently we don't have here, but a lot of people would like to contest that. That could be a prickly subject, perhaps. So a bacterial, let's just call it post-bacterial disease then, if we don't want to put that Lyme disease label on it. You can get fatigue as well from, I've had people come in and they've lived in mouldy houses, and then they've come in and say, I don't know what was going on. And then after a lot of inquiry, find out, I lived in this place up in Port Hedland, for example, and the air conditioner kept on making this mouldy smell, and we lived in there, and half of us got sick, but half of us didn't, and half of us, half of the family really can hardly get out of bed. It is really like a chronic fatigue. So once you've eliminated the viruses, the bacteria, the nasty bugs of any way, shape or form, so that's why I call it post-infection and not really post-viral. Some people might just refer to it as post-viral. Another form of fatigue, nutritional. So you might be low on iron and low on B12. They're the big ones. You need them to get a lot of your energy cycles working properly. Hypothyroidism is a form of or an underlying cause of fatigue. So if you've got a thyroid problem, let's get the thyroid looked at. We can get it looked at properly by lab tests. We don't actually do those blood tests here in the clinic, but just segueing to blood tests. We do conduct live blood screenings in the clinic, and that's also what we'll be doing at Conscious Living. We do live blood screenings. From the live blood screening, we can get an indication if your iron and B12 metabolic pathways are working properly. So
what's the difference between a live blood and a typical blood test?
Doctor's lab test or a lab test that we might send you off for. So a lab test, you go off to the lab and you they'll do a blood draw from you, and then they'll do machine-based tests. So the machines will calculate and measure your iron and B12 and zinc and other things that are in your blood, if that's what you've asked for, as well as your red blood cell count, your hemoglobin, your white cell count, etc. But in the clinic, we do a pinprick on your finger. So you're not getting a big needle in the arm. That's not what the blood test is in the clinic. It's not doing a big blood draw by having a needle put into the vein in your arm. We do a little pinprick on your finger, just like a diabetic would do when they're measuring their blood sugar levels, or their blood glucose, their BGL. And we put that one little drop of the blood on a slide, and we look at that little droplet under the microscope, and that can reveal to us a lot of information about your health, what's happening inside.
Yeah.
It tells
Does it
us.
show? Does it show up any like cancerous tendencies or
No,
abnormal cellular? No.
Strictly speaking, coagulated blood can give you some signposts, if you like, some suspicions. It's not diagnostic, but coagulated blood can do that. But that's, we kind of just stick to live blood at the moment. And we'll only be sticking to live blood at the Conscious Living Expo. But you can, from doing it in the clinic, you can get some reasonable suspicions whether you should go off and have a full proper workup at the lab. So it is useful for that, yeah. So giving, we should go this way, we should go that way. I call it signposts. It gives us a signpost as to which direction we should go. But it's more metabolic issues. In a blood test, it'll measure the levels of iron in your blood, or the levels of B12 in your blood. But we're not so interested in if, to a certain extent we are, but we're more interested in knowing if, not what's in the blood, but what's getting out of the blood. And when you do a live blood screening, you can get an idea of what's happening outside the blood. So you can get some good suspicions. And often then that could be toxicity. That's messing things up. That's what we find. So then we might send you off for a hair analysis test, or we might snip your hair and send that off to get an indication of what's happening with things like heavy metals. Heavy metals cause a lot of problems, especially with energy and with brain function. So, we look into that a lot as well in the clinic. We won't be doing that at the Conscious Living. Probably won't cover that in the talk at the Conscious Living, but maybe a little bit on detox, because detoxification is so important in maintaining energy levels. Would you like to know what else I might cover in the talk? There's a few other little things.
Yes, please do.
So that was nutritional. Sleep cycle disturbance is another big one. So
a lot of people have insomnia, don't they, Stuart? A lot of people really don't sleep well, and I understood that sleep was, when you get sleep at certain hours of the night, that's when you're getting that cellular repair in the body. Yes. So I imagine that's a pretty basic cause of tiredness. If you're not getting that repair happening, then
that's right.
Your cellular function's being depleted, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a little bit as if the immune system becomes overworked, and that starts sapping all your energy, because if you're not repairing properly, then the immune system is having to do too much extra work. So that's a good one there. Sleep, of course, I tend to call it vitamin S. You got to get your vitamin S, so get a good dose of your sleep, vitamin S. Let's see. Another one is if you have sleep apnea. So sleep apnea means you don't tend to breathe properly in your sleep. You're having periods of not breathing, an apnea, and then your body's not oxygenating correctly. You need to have the right levels of oxygen in the body in order to be able to actually have your energy cycles working properly. Mitochondropathy, there's another cause of fatigue and low energy. That is actually really where the citric acid cycle is occurring. It's occurring in the mitochondria of our cells. So if something is hijacking and messing up the citric acid cycle, we mentioned the toxins earlier, but another one, viruses actually have a habit of stealing nutrient at the mitochondrial level. So you can go for a blood test, and the blood test can show that you have great levels of all the nutrients that are needed for energy in your blood, and they might be getting down through to the cells and into the mitochondria, But right at that citric acid level in the mitochondria, viruses, bacteria, and those other infectious little parasites, and let's call them parasites because they're sucking away from you your nutrients at the mitochondrial level. They consume it, and your mitochondria doesn't get it. So there's another good reason for making sure you do some sort of bug clear. Let's get all the bugs out. Let's get all the toxins out. The toxins jam up the engine, your energy powerhouse at that level, like mentioned earlier as well. So if you can do that, and then make sure you're getting all the good stuff in, get all the bad stuff and all the blockers out the way, get all the good stuff in, that gets the cycle working, the generator working properly, and hopefully away you go. And in most cases, people usually do. But just a little word about getting the toxins out. Yes. I have found through clinical experience that it takes at least 18 months to detoxify the body. Yeah. Basically, in 99% of people. So these things that you see advertised as, oh, I did a 6-week detox, or I did the lemon detox for 8 weeks. Or a 7-day detox. It's just getting a very superficial level of toxins out of the body. If you're measuring it and doing it scientifically by measuring it with a proper heavy metal test, you'll find that you are still excreting heavy metals after a year. And I find most people say after doing continuous detox for 6 months, at the 6-month point is where most people tend to say, you know what? Now my brain feels clear and my energy levels are staying steady through the whole day. My glucose metabolism is working better. So that's what they find. And at the 12-month level, or between the 6 and 12-month level, people can say, I still get peaks and troughs a little bit in my energy. But 12 months, they're saying that's leveling out. At 18 months, feel fantastic. And then we do hair analysis follow-ups every 6 months. And that sort of is how we track it. If you're still showing heavy metals on your hair analysis test, but you feel great, I tell people it'll come back to bite you if you stop, because it usually does.
Really?
You should try to keep going. Yeah.
Really?
Make sure. Yep. Get all your heavy metals out. That's my clinical opinion.
Wow. Wow. So that requires a lot of commitment, doesn't it, from clients?
Yep. We can work with clients to help them budget-wise. If you really want to hammer it hard and really dive in full bore, well, there's a lot you can do. If you want to go slower and steadier, and if that's what your budget allows, at least do a little bit, because you won't be getting any more toxic and you'll slowly be reducing your toxicity, which in the long run, and just as an opinion, I tend to think that these chronic toxicities tend to be one of the multifactorial drivers of why we have so much chronic disease these days. Things like diabetes, cancer, etc., and now a lot more of these autoimmune conditions coming up. They tend to, I think, be driven mainly by toxins. Well, that's one of the main drivers.
And what about depression?
Yeah, well, I think that too, because depression tends to be a lack of serotonin, or the serotonin metabolic pathway not working properly. If you can get all the junk out of the way, all of the heavy metals and all of the toxins, and get all your metabolic pathways working properly, and get your serotonin pathway working properly, that is, I think, going to be a great help toward lifting, the dark cloud and getting depression out of people's lives.
So what's your recipe for detoxing?
I tend to try to make sure people are on the most amount of organic intake as they can, diet-wise, because then if you're 100% organic, you're going to be really playing a great role to limiting the amount of toxins that are coming into your body. You're reducing your toxic intake. I don't think you can ever 100% eliminate it, because there is breathable and measurable amounts of toxins in the air.
Yes.
There's measurable amounts of toxins in the clothing we wear. There's fire retardant chemicals on a lot of furniture, in the paint, in the carpet, in your clothing. So you're going to be getting it, not necessarily through your mouth with your diet and through the gut. You could be getting it through what you're breathing, through what all these modern materials are giving off, the plastics, the fabrics, etc. There'll be toxic fumes in industry, motor vehicles. You know, you're going to breathe it in, absorb it in through your skin. Scientists can measure the amount of mercury in the penguins in Antarctica. So if it's in the penguins in Antarctica and you can feel it, or you can measure it properly down there, so what sort of hope have we got?
Yes.
We're definitely going to be toxic. You're always going to be getting it in. So, but if you can do an organic diet, that's great. And then I tend to do what's called oral chelation therapy. So an analogy I use is, imagine stepping into a still pond. Now, you know how on the bottom of the pond you have a lot of silt and dead pond slime and dead plant matter. The water can look totally clear. As soon as you step into it, you stir it up and all this very fine sediment comes up and immediately it goes cloudy. So when we start to detoxify the body, it's a little bit like that. We're disturbing it down deep, and I'm doing oral chelation methods, which means you're taking capsules or tablets or powders or liquids. So I've got you taking those things, and the different things I get you to take every month, it's like we're stirring up the body in different areas and at different directions, and we're really stirring it up. And then the chelators, chelators is a fancy sort of pharmaceutical or chemistry term for binding. So it's got something to do with the Greek word for talon, you know, like an eagle's talon.
Yes.
So it grabs hold and binds. Yep.
Grabbing hold of it.
Yeah. And it binds it. And then once you get this bound, it's called a complex, a molecular complex. So when the complex comes around to the liver then makes another complex with it with bile. It binds up with the bile and then just sends it out through the intestines, and it goes out with your stools. So that's how it goes in the body. That's what chelation or that kind of detox therapy does. You can get intravenous chelation therapy. They tend to be considerably more expensive. They're quicker, but a lot harder on hip pocket. But if you can do it, they're a good thing to do. So that's what we do. So, try to limit the intake of toxins, and then start really pulling out the toxins that are there.
Right. So would it be your recommendation that, you know, the average person should do this, like a detox program?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial to do it, because toxins are one of the really disruptive drivers, like I was saying before, in the chronic diseases. So if you want to avoid all those, or give yourself the best chance of not getting them, really minimize your chance of getting them, I think detox, I don't know if you could ever say you'd ever not get them. You can't say that, because you don't know what other toxins are in someone's personal environment. Another one that's not touches emotions.
I was just going to say,
that's toxic emotions and toxic. They're not good either. I don't think. Yeah, they have. If you have a toxic emotional and toxic relationships, they really mess up. They tend to really have a mess up effect on your gastrointestinal tract. So when that's not working properly, that's really the center of health, body's health from the inside out. Yeah. Anything that messes up the gastrointestinal tract is going to have some impact on you in one shape or form. So that's another big one.
Yeah, so the message really is it's purification, I gather, what you're really
In the
helping
long
your
run, that's
patients
the
with.
theme. Yeah, that's the theme to the message. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah,
And
purification.
what sort of outcomes do have your clients experienced if they do continue on with, say, the year-long program? What results have they given you, like feedback
Yeah,
after completed the
energy.
course?
Great energy. I
Energy.
feel like I feel like I did, 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
don't get energy drops in the middle of the day. I'm not yawning when I'm in a meeting
Wake
at
up in the
work.
morning.
Yeah, I stay focused and I can give more to my job. And then I've got still plenty of fuel in the tank for when I get home in the
Yeah.
evening for the family. I've got time for the children. I've got time
Mm.
for my partner, spouse. I've got time for the pets. I can take the dog for a run. Do you know what I mean? That
Yes.
sort of thing. I can get back doing the things that I want to do on the weekend. Go out
Mm.
doing something exciting, a bit of kite surfing or horse riding or something like that.
Yes.
Um, that's really the first one, and the next one is that steady mental energy as well, more
Mm-hmm.
focus, the ability
Mm-hmm.
to have a bit more power to the cognition.
Yeah.
They're the good things that people come back and say.
Mm.
You're getting your blood sugar metabolism steadied and
Mm-hmm.
leveled out, and that also plays a part in things like cancer. Certainly plays a part
Yes.
in diabetes. Cancer
Mm.
is said to be fed by carbohydrate and glucose. So when you've got that working properly, you're going to give
Mm.
yourself the best chance of not getting those chronic diseases. So yeah, things clear up. Skin conditions have cleared up
Yes.
in these cases. Um,
Mm.
that they would be the main big three that people report. Yeah. So
And
great things to look forward to.
but it's
Sleeping
often
better, actually. Sorry, sleeping better. Just people say they sleep better because toxins
yeah.
do interfere. They interfere. Toxins interfere with your hormones. So
Mm.
melatonin is actually a hormone. It's your hormone to go to sleep.
Mm.
So if you've got all the toxins out of the way,
Mm.
fantastic. You're sleeping better as well, which of course gives you better energy. So it
Yes.
starts becoming multifactorial and multi-layered.
Mm. Mm. But it does require a lot of commitment, doesn't it? And
Yeah,
focus. And I mean, the majority of people are just wanting the quick fixes, so they might go for the like the
that's true.
superfood smoothie or
Yeah,
something that they think is going to give more energy.
yeah.
But
Or a detox smoothie, and that's the other thing. You can
mhm,
you can use food as medicine, and there's a lot of foods that are detoxifying. High sulfur foods, garlic, radish, etc.
yes,
The brassicas, they're detoxifying, and another one that is really binding for heavy metals. You can get your spirulinas. They're good. Spirulina, the different forms of spirulina, as
mm,
well as what is it? Coriander.
mm, mm.
Coriander's a really good one. So,
That's
and you can get
interesting.
a big bunch of coriander and go juice it and all the rest of it, and it will have an effect, but it
Mm,
won't be as powerful as some of the natural medicines that are actually formulated for
mhm,
chelation, for really
yeah,
binding the heavy metals. Yeah,
yeah.
you won't do it as well.
Mm, mm, mm. Well,
And people take clay or French clay or what's the other one? Clinoptilolite. Give it a shot, but measure
mhm,
what you're doing. Um,
yes,
measure what you're doing with hair analysis. Yeah.
yes. I guess that's the benefit, isn't it? Coming to see someone
Mm.
like yourself, you've got so much clinical experience, and you've got a program that's tried and tested, and
Yes.
also you give people the support to go through the process
Yeah.
because it's not
That's
always
right.
easy to keep going. Um,
Yeah. The big one
but I guess,
is the
yeah,
big one is
sorry.
keep the end goal in mind. Why are you
Yeah,
doing this? Is it
yeah.
to have more time for friends, families, children,
Mm,
spouse, partners? Is it to have time, more energy to go out and have fun? What's the point of going on a holiday and you get somewhere and then it's like, I hardly have the energy to go out and hike around this maybe visiting an ancient city like, let's say, Jerusalem or Prague or something like that. You want the energy to really make the most of while you're there. Well, enjoy it. Get the energy to do all that. So that's the end goal. What is your end goal? What's personal to you? Keep that in mind, and then that helps you stay focused and motivated.
Yeah. Well, look, you've just got so much knowledge, and it's like peeling the layers off. There's more and more available, and it just, as I'm talking to you, it just makes me realize, well, the things that are kind of not working well, but you sort of avoid looking at it because you know that you have to take action, and it's going to mean depriving yourself of some things that you like to eat and drink.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're right. It's about really loving yourself, isn't it? And really honoring this beautiful body that we sense and experience everything through. And if it's not functioning well, then we're ripping ourselves off, aren't we? We're just not. And the body's got an incredible regenerative ability, and
it has.
as long as it's treated well and given the support that it requires.
Let it do its job. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about the difference between naturopathy and the medical profession is, it's like one is about really supporting the body and the ability of the body to heal and regenerate, and the other is dealing with the effects once everything has not been looked after, and then adding more problems on top of problems. So we really need to shift away from that mentality, don't we, of the quick fix. And we need to really, it's kind of like slow food, slow medicine, just really take care of this beautiful, beautiful organism that we have. To enjoy our lives as we live on this beautiful planet. So, look, I'm sure everyone's going to get a lot of benefit from the talk at Conscious Living, which is in October. And Stuart will also be available to do the live blood analysis and have a consult, talk about any health issues that you've got coming up. You can always go onto the website, purehealthandwellness.com.au.
That's right.
And book an appointment and just see where you're at. I think it's a loving kindness act to go and go and
to yourself and your healthy future.
Correct. Do yourself a favor. No, thanks, Stuart. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but I know that it's definitely worth spending the time and the money to take care.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Yeah. And looking forward to seeing everybody there at the Conscious Living. And there's always so much. It's not just my stand, of course. There's so many great stands and so many great speakers, and people need to get there for the whole 3 days, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be awesome this year. Well, thank you so much, Stuart. And I'm sure we'll have another chat later on about some of the other areas that you specialize in. So thanks for all your info, and thanks everyone for listening. So stay tuned for our next interview.
Thank you.
Bye, Stuart. Thank you.